Holla ballers, what's going on? I hope you're having a good day. About to open probably a can of worms. Every now and again I make a video and I'm like, people are going to get pissy about this. But so far you guys have been really cool about accepting that the opinions while I'm choosing a class for Warlords of Draenor have been my own perspective and not a generalized critique on a class from all perspectives. So the Druid. I said many times through Mists of Pandaria that the balanced Druid, God, I loved the crap out of it because it had such a high skill ceiling. I could see myself investing a lot of time to get really good at it. And a really good Moonkin is a thing of fucking beauty. It really is. To see an awesome balanced Druid, it's incredible. And there aren't many classes that have that scope for improvement. There are a lot of classes that even with ample amounts of gear, don't even change the way they play throughout an entire expansion. The buttons and kind of cooldowns that you press at the very beginning when you get your class are exactly the same as you go from a 400 item level up to the 570s and such we're seeing now. But the Balanced Druid didn't play that way. The Balanced Druid has an immense amount of skill ceiling. And on top of that, every encounter dictates how a Moonkin should be played because there's setup involved and all that kind of stuff. So the Moonkin was a really high up choice for me, and therefore I've spent a whole day playing it. If you follow my tweets, you know I've been up since 5 AM. It's currently 10:45, playing around with my Druid. I did have a power nap in between those, gotta be said. And I've enjoyed it a lot. I've enjoyed it a hell of a lot. And it's not the Moonkin that's putting me away from this class, and that's really what I discussed. One, I've said some great things about the Moonkin. I do have problems with the other one, and the greatest enemy about choosing a raiding class is myself in a lot of ways. I'm my own worst enemy when it comes to doing this because there aren't many things that stress me out. You put me in front of a crowd of thousands of people, I won't give a shit. I've never been one to get uncomfortable. I've never been one to stress. People around me can get very stressed about important things, but I've always been kind of a problem solver, and that's why a lot of people come to me with their issues to try and sort them out. Is I'll take it pretty calmly, and it's only when things really start getting hectic do I feel any kind of pressure. But other than that, I'm usually pretty laid back and kind of cool with stuff. Not when it comes to raiding. There have been many times when I'm about to raid or do something that I've actually gone into an almost blind panic, and that's kind of the attraction to me of raiding in World of Warcraft is I feel so strongly about it that it can in fact put a lot of stress on me to do something really well. So I have been a main Druid before. And now I'm talking about Druid here, not balance. I've been a main Druid before, and it was during Ulduar, during Wrath of the Lich King. I was a main Druid through most of Ulduar up until Heroic Freya. I was a Druid a little bit in Nax and the earlier tier, about that kind of time period. Not a really extensive time period, probably about 6 or 7 months, something like that. And that's when I mained a Druid. And I hated it. I really hated every single second of it. I didn't want to roll a Druid, but it was necessary. And the problem with the Druid is it can fill so many facets of the game in terms of a raid that I put a lot of pressure on myself to make sure I'm always prepared. I love really good preparation, and when things go wrong I get really sort of uncomfortable when things start getting messed up, especially if I could have fixed this problem beforehand. If I was aware of this issue beforehand and I should have been prepared for it, I should have been ready for it. I had my fucking fire resist for my warrior. The second I found out I might need it in the Black Temple at some point, I had it. It was in the bags. It was done. It was a bitch to farm, but I fucking had it. So when it comes to a Druid, where every single spec is different and requires different gears and different skill sets, that's a big burden for me. A real big burden for me. I'll try and fish out an old screenshot and show you what my bags look like in Ulduar. If I was going to be a Druid and I was supposed to be a tank, that was my purpose in the raid. I was going to be a tank Druid. I also had a complete, utter best as I could get it set of restoration gear, a complete best as I could possibly get it balance gear, and in my off time of tanking, I was healing dungeons, I was healing alt raids, I was then DPSing them as balance, I was feral catting, I was doing all these kind of things because who knows? Maybe we'll need suddenly fucking 15 feral druids, Nefarian. Or maybe fucking we'll need 20 healers like we needed in Heart of Fear randomly that outnumber the DPS. And I'm always that guy who's like, I can do that. I can do that. I'm ready for it. Just give me 2 seconds. I will be right back. I will go and fucking respec, or I'll respec on the spot and I'm ready to go. I'm good to go. I'm your man. And that is the way I play the game. The Druid has 4 of those specs. 4 of those specs. And 2 of them I really, really don't like at all. And that is a big problem for me. And you're saying to yourself, Preacher, you'll be playing balanced 90% of the time. The chances of you having to play something else are minimal at best, right? I know that. I know that. But it's in my mind that I might have to do that. When I look at the Druid, what I see is balance, love it. Probably playing it most of the time. That's what I'd like to be. Healer, sure. I can heal every now and again. I'm not the best healer. I'm okay with that. I'm not the best healer. I don't like the spammy style. But if Mist of Pandaria is, Warlords of Draenor, I should say, is shaping up like we're supposed to, if it goes back to a more mana-efficient style of play, I will be in my element. That's how I like to play healers. I really don't like spammy style. So I like Tree as well. Fine with that. Guardian. I'm not a fan of Guardian. In the guides, I said this. I was like, Guardian's just so boring. So boring. And this is something that picks up in my mind is, little secret, every single time, no matter what my guild, no matter what guild I played in, I got asked to tank for whatever reason. You guys know how seriously I take my tanking. I take it very, very seriously. Every time I have done that, I have become the de facto replacement tank should anything go wrong. Should a tank need a night off, Preacher will tank. Whether I want to or not, I will be the de facto guy. And I'm incapable, I've got to be honest, of saying no if it means we're going to have a more efficient, more speedy, more productive raid. I will be like, yeah, sure. Don't like doing it at all on a Guardian Druid. I love tanking. I frigging love tanking. But on a Guardian Druid, I'm so bored. So bored. For me personally, I just find it so dull. The spells are boring. The cooldowns are boring. For me, some people love Guardian Druid, and fair play to you. But for me, if that chance happens, and I always have to have this in the back of my mind, that can you just tank this boss maybe? You've got some experience tanking, right, Preacher? You play all those classes online. You're going to do some tanking for us today. Our tank's missing. Can you do it? And you know what? Because of who I am, I will have a full set of tanking gear. I'll be ready to do it because I can't help myself. It's a compulsion. I've got to be ready for any and all situations. And I'll be like, yeah, I'll do it. No problem. I'll go fucking sort it out right now. Let me just reglyph and learn a new specialization. And then I'll probably be pretty good at it. I know it sounds first worldy egotistical problems, but I'll probably be pretty good at it, right? And then I'm kind of the default choice. And then I think to myself, tanks do take the odd days off, maybe, sometimes, but my worst case scenario is maybe 20-30% of the time I might be tanking, and I would hate that. I would really, really hate it, and it makes me want to avoid the class because of it. And it's so stupid! I know it is, it probably won't even happen, but the chance that it's there really puts me off. The same with Feral. We get some balance goes through some horrendous changes. Feral Druids are suddenly really, really powerful or super powerful. I just don't like Feral DPSing, but the compulsive nature of me means that I will have to learn Feral regardless of whether the situation comes up, have everything set up, and practice the crap out of it. Just because of who I am. Just because I need to be ready for that situation to occur. This is the stupid thing about it. And why it's such a pain in the ass is even if that situation never occurs in Warlords of Draenor that I get asked to play a cat for whatever reason, I will still be dedicating abundant amounts of time to maximize my ability to play a Feral Druid. Because that's what I do when I'm on a raiding character. Every single facet of my class, I need to know to a max. Not to a level like I can produce a guide for you guys, where I can make a couple of mistakes in a guide. That's fine, because I can discuss them at the time. Say, hey, I goofed up there. You guys shouldn't do that. That's fine and dandy. When it comes to being on a progression raider, on my main class, I need to know the ins and outs of it. Deeply know the ins and outs of it. So you might be thinking, well, isn't that the same with the Paladin, though, right? I mean, he's got a tank and healer spec. Yes, but the tanking aspect of a Paladin plays very, very similar to a Ret Paladin. In essence, the only difference is Templar's Verdict or Shield of the Righteous for most cases, and the cooldowns are defensive instead of offensive. It's not that hard to switch between them, and it's certainly not a case of I don't enjoy it. Sure, it's relatively simple. Maybe it'll get some difficulty tweaks in Warlords of Draenor, but unlikely to see many, and therefore I don't actually mind it. I'm almost playing the same class, and I'm tanking. That's great for me. Really cool for me. But when it comes to Guardian and Feral, and even Tree to an extent, so off-putting. The Holy Paladin would be the worst of the worst for me. Really bad, but I can see that undergoing some tweaks, and there are indications in our little bit of released information that things are going to happen there, whereas the Druid's remaining relatively similar. So I don't expect much to happen there. I think the healing style of the Druid is pretty solid. The Feral style works really well. Can't argue with how Ferals play. They play wonderfully. They do more than adequate DPS, and therefore they're pretty much fine. Guardian might get some tweaks, probably to, what, to the shield? Maybe? Or Frenzied Rejuve? There's something like that. Might get a little tweak here and there to make it a little bit more interesting than just healing yourself, but unlikely. It's still going to be a sort of cyclical Savage Roar dodge experience, and therefore I'm just not into it. And it's really put me off the class. And while I was playing Balance and Resto today, all I had in the back of my mind is, yeah, but what if I get asked to play these? I will really, really hate that and detest it. And it might never happen. But the point is, I'm going to practice it and play it anyway, just in case. Because should that situation arise, I'm always the guy who wants to be ready and raring to go. I'd never make the excuse if I haven't played this a lot, so I might not be that good, guys. No, I want to be the solid guy. That's who I am in your raid. I'm the guy you can go, can you tank this? Yes. And I know everything about tanking this fight already. Don't worry about it. Just say, if you ask me, I will say yes, because I feel compelled to, and therefore I'll go and do that. And you might sit there and go, you can just say no. I can't. I can't. If it means a better raiding experience, if it means better progress, if it means everything is going to look up, because I've been a raid leader. I've been that guy who's like, we really need someone to take this role, and everybody's silent around you. And it's awful because everybody else is sat there, especially in like a 20 or 25 man. You'll have 19 people sat there, or even 20 people, and you're just like, can someone just do this? And everyone's like, no, I'm not ready, I'm not prepared. And every time that has happened while I've been a raid leader, I've just been pissed off because I always think, guys, you should be ready. Yeah, you're a DPS warrior, but come on, man, you should be learning how to fucking tank. And especially those who say, I'm a Fury warrior. Well, Fury sucks now. Oh, well, I'm a Fury warrior. I'm not that guy. I'm a Druid. And if I'm a Druid, that means I'm Balanced, Feral, Guardian, Resto, on demand when it's needed, if the encounter demands it, or the guild demands it of me. And there's a 50% chance that I'll end up playing a spec I really don't enjoy. And if I'm good at it, like I say with tanking, if I'm good at it, then those odds go up. And I don't like that. I really don't like that. And that is the only reason. Balance is wonderful. I have such fun on it. Such fun. I have so much to learn. So much to get involved with. But I'm just going to have to say no. I'm going to have to say no for the risk. For the absolute risk that it's going to lead me at some point. It's just going to force me down a road I don't want to go down, which is playing specs I don't enjoy enough to want to master. I love playing these specs as one-offs for guides and spending a few hours on them, fine, but then I get to put it back into bed and leave it alone. If I'm going to be a raider, I'm going to be constantly upgrading it. I'm going to be throwing gold and time at maximizing it. Should we see something like legendary cloaks and gems again, I'm going to be fucking gemming the crap out of it and getting all the different types of cloaks and swapping enchants just to be ready. And I don't want that for this one. The Paladin I don't mind so much. Worst case is Holy. I'm going to be not great at it anyway. I'm sure that I'll just get trounced by everybody else, but I'll try hard. That's what I can promise, I'll try hard. But when it comes to being melee and being a tank, I'm pretty good at those things. And that spells the doom for the Druid, unfortunately. It's a silly reason, I know, and I didn't want to be that guy who's like... But you've got to... This is your personal feelings, and this is why you have to go through this process, is to really air it out. That's my thoughts on the Druid. Wonderful class, but the risk and the... Just... It's not even the risk, is it? It's just that because of the way I play my mains in this game, I will force myself to be unhappy by learning specs I don't enjoy just so I can max them. Absolutely max them. They're not difficult to get there, but I'll just want to. I'll be studying Tiger's Fury, and I've done it before. That's how I know. Studying Tiger's Fury cooldowns to maximize them perfectly, and I don't want to do it again. I just don't want to do it again. All right, guys, have a great day. I'll see you again. Bye.